this is a Montem Academy podcast. So, my first question is, what was your first job?
Good morning, Aurora. My first job was quite a while ago, and it was working in a toy shop called the Early Learning Centre in Uxbridge. Yeah, and I used to get to go in and get the toys out, put all the new toys on the toy shelf, and then I got to choose activities to put out to do with families when they came in. And I'd just play all day. It was amazing.
Did you get to play with babies when you were around there?
Yep, if the children came in, then I got to be the one who sat at the table and played all the games with the children.
That's very nice.
How long would you used to work? How many hours a day?
I think it was about 5 a day. So this was when I was at school. So I was still studying for my GCSEs at the time. So I only worked at weekends.
Were you in college?
I was in high school.
Okay, it's very nice.
If your job was so long ago, then how long have you been teaching at Montem Academy?
So at Montem, I've been here 7 years. But because my first job was when I was in high school, I then went to college, I went to university, and I had lots of other jobs before I then came to Montem.
What was your most favourite job?
This one. This one's my most favourite job. But I did also really, really enjoy being a dance teacher and a PE teacher. That's one of my other favourites.
What do you most enjoy about teaching?
That's so hard because there's so many positives about teaching.
Pick 2.
I would say my favourite thing is the children. So getting to meet lots of different children, getting to work with lots of different children, and then seeing how much progress all the children make throughout the school. And my second favourite thing about teaching is the teachers. So the first thing is the children, and then the second thing is the teachers, because we have some awesome teachers at Montem who aren't just good teachers, but they're really, really good friends. And I think that everyone who works here is super kind. So those are my 2 favourites.
What job would you like to do when you retire?
When I retire, I wouldn't like to do any job.
But
I'd like to just be at home cooking.
If you was to choose a job.
If I was to change my career.
Yeah.
One job I always wanted to try was being a policewoman.
Did you think that would be really easy?
I didn't think it'd be easy, but I thought it would be a good challenge. But then I decided to become a teacher.
So you wanted to be a police officer before teaching?
Yes, it was always in my mind. But then I fell in love with teaching more.
Annam here wants to ask a question for Miss Morgan.
Hi, Annam.
Hi, why did you change your decision?
Because before I started teaching, I thought I might want to be a policewoman. I was at university and I was a dancer. So I used to go and perform a lot. I used to do lots of shows and lots of dancing. And whilst I was dancing at university, I started teaching dance at GCSE level in a school. And once I started teaching that, I then started teaching lots of different sports for primary schools. And then I thought, actually, I think this is where my heart is. So then I changed to teaching.
Miss Morgan, if you could change anything in the world, what would you be and why?
What would I be or what would I change?
No, what would you change in the world?
And why?
I think that is one of the hardest questions I've ever been asked. I honestly don't know off the top of my head.
Okay,
That's so tricky.
What
would you change?
I would change the positivity.
The positivity, as in you'd like people to be more positive?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an awesome one.
I would change people that are poor to be like kind of rich and have houses and food and water.
Oh, that's so kind. I think I like both of those. What would you change?
I would want there to be equality where no one is left out in anything, especially the poor and the rich.
I love that as well. They are such kind answers. I think I'd agree with all of those. we do need more support for people who don't have as much money, and we definitely need people to be more positive in the world, so as then there's a lot more kindness.
And Miss Morgan, instead of the world, what would you change in like this school?
Ooh. What would I change at Montem? Maybe have more fish and chip days. I think that would be a good one, wouldn't it?
It's fish and chips today. You can have fish and chips.
It is fish and chips today. I think I might be going for fish and chips. Are you having fish and chips today?
Yes. And do you have any pets?
I do.
Is it a dog like Maple?
I do have a dog. He's not like Mabel. He's a dash hound, so he's a sausage dog.
Oh, I love those sausage dogs. They're
Yeah.
so cute.
They're so tiny.
I do have a dog. I also have a lizard, a gecko. He's called Randall.
Isn't that scary?
No, he's fine.
How many pets do you have in total?
Just those two at the moment.
Are you getting more?
Not at the moment. They're both my eldest son's pets, so he's supposed to take care of them. But they're our pets.
George has been listening and he would really like to ask you a question.
Hi, George.
Miss Morgan, what do you think is your most prized possession in Montem and off Montem?
My most prized possession for me is probably my children. I know they're not my possession as in I've bought them, but they're mine. So my two sons would be the most amazing gift I've ever been given outside of Montem. In Montem, my most prized possession, the class I'm teaching at the moment. But I probably say that every year because every year I feel like my children are the best.
Thank you, George. Hardia would like to ask a question for Mrs.
A
Morgan.
very nice
Hi,
question.
Hardia.
Hi, Miss Morgan. What was the first year group you taught?
At Montem,
Yes.
when I first started Montem, I was a teaching assistant in year 6.
Did you like teaching?
I love teaching.
No, did you like teaching them?
Yes, I did. I was a bit scared of teaching year 6 at first because I thought the children were a bit too old for me. But no, I absolutely loved that age group. And then I have taught in year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5 and year 6 since.
Thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome.
Hello, what I wanted to ask was that what you enjoy about teaching, do you enjoy watching how the children grow?
Absolutely. I think for any teacher, one of the first things they'll say is that their passion stays with teaching because they see how amazing the children are and seeing the children learn something new and seeing those, we call them light bulb moments. So when you see a child's face change because they've learned something new or they can now do something that they'd found really difficult before is definitely one of the most amazing things with teaching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Mrs. Morgan, you said that one thing that you love about teaching is your colleagues. So which of your first colleagues at the school did you first meet?
Oh, I thought you was going to ask me who my favourite colleague was then, and I was very scared to answer that. The first colleague I met, so the very first colleague I met was Mrs. Probert, because she did my interview. And then when I started working here, I met Mr. Ruan first. I don't know if you guys remember Mr. Ruan. He was in year 6. And that same day, just after I'd been introduced to Mr. Ruan, I was introduced to Miss Probert. And we were both TAs in year 6 at the time. And then we've kind of just had our little journey throughout Montem.
When you first met Mrs. Probert, were you very nervous? Did you have any jitters?
I was so nervous. I'd never interviewed at a school before because I'd always been dancing before or I'd worked in the toy shop and I was running children's clubs across different areas. So I'd never had to interview in a school. So I was super nervous. I didn't know what she was going to ask, but she was really nice.
Do you have any hobbies?
I do. Lots of my time is taken up by my children, who both play football. So I suppose one of my hobbies is watching my children play football in the freezing cold. But I do love going to the gym. I don't dance as much anymore, but that is a hobby I would like to bring back. But gyms and walking and football and definitely going for a coffee. Is that a hobby? Can we call that a hobby?
I don't think so.
Maybe.
Maybe. Let's have a think about it.
Miss Morgan, do you like any sports?
I do. So my children and all the family are big into football. So I've kind of had to like football. What other sports do I like? I love dancing.
But that's
Very
not
nice.
really like a sport.
Of course it's a sport. It's in
That's
the
a sport.
Olympics.
What?
Well, we're going to have to show him some of the Olympic videos from this year. I'll tell Mr. Beckett and Mr. Milstead, don't you?
And Miss Morgan, do you support any a team of football?
What's your favourite
Okay,
team?
so I'm going to let you into a secret because this could cause a big family row. My dad supports Tottenham. My youngest son supports Liverpool.
I like Liverpool.
My eldest son supports Arsenal.
I like Liverpool and Arsenal.
So it's tricky.
Oh, what's your favourite team?
If I tell you, you can't share it.
I won't share it.
Okay.
You won't.
Arsenal.
I like Arsenal and Liverpool. They're my top favourites.
I don't know anything about football.
Oh, that's what the answer I should have given. I should have said that answer. I didn't do that.
Thank you, Miss Morgan, for coming. We've had a wonderful time with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for taking your time out and coming to speak to us.
Oh, you are so welcome. Anytime you ever want.
Thank you.
Bye.